Hello friends! Analogue just released the big 2.0 upgrade for the Analogue Pocket console. It's the version 2.0, so I guess it's gonna be a pretty big one. Well, let's see what it's all about. First, let's check out the new features announced by Analogue for the new version. So you go to the support, Pocket, and here's the firmware. Let's see what's up. So for Gameboy, there seems to be some palette support. Then for openFPGA is the big one. Now that the different display modes are supported on openFPGA emulators. For the openFPGA platform, there's a new host command for the real-time clock, which I think means that in the future the real-time clock could work on the Pokémon games. Then for the dock, there are some new controller support. Well, without further ado, let's get started for the upgrade. I'm using this Pocket Sync app. It's a pretty handy app for managing your Pocket. Here's a nice green button, new Pocket firmware unavailable. Okay, let's install the SD card into the device and get it updated. After the upgrade is complete, there doesn't seem to be any announcement or anything, but well, let's fire up some openFPGA cores. Let's start with some GBA, and of course my previous video was about the Moemon Megafire Red, so let's play with that. In my video I had problems playing it in the openFPGA, but I found out that this Normat BIOS actually allows you to play the game. And here we are at Pokémon Center. So now we just have the traditional pixel perfect mode, just straight up very nice and sharp pixels. But let's see if we can go to the core settings, and oh yeah, here we have the display mode. So now we have mode settings, oh, and only normal is available. Well, that's not very exciting. Okay, coming to you from the future, I did some research and apparently it is actually possible and pretty easy to enable the Gameboy display modes for the openFPGA cores. So here I have my Moemon game. Let me show you my Moemon. Here's my shiny Celebi. And as you can see, it's just in the old sharp pixel mode, but we can go to the core settings, display mode, and now we have the original modes here. So let's go for GBA. And here's some direct capture over the HDMI. So this is the normal mode. Here's the GBA original mode. And here's the GBA SP mode. I think they are pretty nice. So choose your favorite. Let me show how that was done. So on your Analogue Pocket memory card, you can go to the cores and then find the GBA and the GB cores. I'm just doing with the GBA. Here, so spiritualized GBA, and then you open the video.json, and by default this is what the file looks like. But if you just add these lines there, then you can enable the GBA SP and the GBA original modes. It's pretty easy to do. I'm sure the core will be updated very soon, but for now you have to do it manually. Apparently if you are using the Pocket Updater utility, it can force these display modes to different cores. If you were wondering what game I had in the background in the intro, here's Sips. It's a idle game that was created for a game jam for GBA. Similar as with the Moemon game, you can of course use the display modes with this game. Since it's an idle game, you don't actually do much. I already have completed the game. The music is very chill. You can have it just on background, and with these new display modes, well, I think it looks pretty great. Let's try some of the other openFPGA cores. So maybe with some arcade compatible. I have the CPS2 here. Okay, let's see what we can do with this game then. Okay, so here's the character select screen, and as you can see, it's just the traditional sharp pixels, and let's see if this allows us to select the display mode. And here we go, we have the CRT Trinitron mode. Well, let's turn it on. And yeah, the effect is kinda subtle. I'm not sure if you can see anything on with the handheld modes with official games. Well, let's try something else. Let's see how, for example, Super Nintendo works. So, and once again, this is just the regular pixel perfect mode. So let's turn on the display mode. So for the CRT mode, Actually, it did some scaling. I think it went to a pixel perfect scale now. And once again, it looks a bit darker and there is some more definition on the pixels, but I think it's quite subtle, the difference. Let's see on the HDMI side. So let's put it on the dock and see how it looks there. And of course, your firmware is out of date. And well, let's update some. I can immediately see that there's difference here. So let's start with the normal mode. And this is what the sharp pictures look. Very, very sharp indeed. But if we turn on the Trinitron mode, there's a definite CRT filter here. It's quite a stark difference, I think. But unfortunately it makes the screen much darker. So here's the normal mode. And here's the CRT mode. And looks like it has to crop the screen for a bit to make the CRT mode work. I guess it only works in a pixel perfect mode. I wonder if there's some settings here. Oh, you can adjust it. So there's some medium aperture krill and then fine aperture krill. Okay, with this I think it looks a bit less stark. And then there's option for scan lines only. For my eyes, at least through the capture card, the fine aperture grill looks the best. And let's see what the size goes. So you can do the integer or integer plus, and with the integer plus you can get the full screen mode. I think this might be my preferred way of playing, so let's get started. So, as you can see, it's a pretty cool effect if you're in the CRT. It's more than just simple scan lines. There's some filtering going on. I heard this mode is pretty similar to what they have in the new TurboGrafx analog console. So let's do one more comparison. So with the I got the game over. So no comparisons here. Okay, so here's Darkstalker again in the normal mode. But let's turn on the Trinitron mode. And once again, it crops by default and has the slightly blurred mode. But on HDMI, this is much bigger difference. Let's see if we could make it the integer plus. So here we go. You can make it full screen, and yeah, it crops a bit. I wonder if it tries to keep the pixels sharp. But I think this looks pretty nice. But it definitely makes the screen much darker than the normal mode. Switch to the normal mode. Yeah, it's much brighter here. And I think this is not like one of them is better or worse. It's just about your preference. Do you prefer the CRT look, the old school look, or are you more into the sharp pixels like emulator style? Oh, there's actually a quick key. You can hold the menu button and hit left or right to switch between the modes. Well, that's useful. So as you can see on top and bottom, it does a little bit of cropping. So if I go to the normal mode, you can see the score there completely. And if I go to the Trinitron mode, then if you have the integer plus, it crops a bit. Usually the games running on CRTs were designed that it doesn't matter if the top and bottom are cropped a bit, because CRTs are very unreliable, and some screens, well, almost all of the screens had some of cropping going on, so usually there is not much data lost on top and bottom, but looks like these arcade games expected a little bit higher quality monitors and put some text there. It's still completely playable, at least Darkstalkers here. Once again, here's the normal mode, and then the Trinitron mode. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely for these cores that support it. Well, that's Darkstalkers. I am not very good at fighting games, so let's try one more game. Actually, interesting. Can we do this with Super Game Boy? I have Zelda here, but let's put in my latest purchase, Kirby Pinball Land. I think this is a lot of fun. And this works very well with the Super Game Boy. So the Super Game Boy, it has this run cartridge mode, and then it plays the game you have installed. So after a while, it should boot into the Game Boy, Super Game Boy. And there we go, we have Kirby on the screen. Let's get it docked. Pause the game, and then let's go to core settings. And here we have display mode. And since this is console, we can go to the Trinitron mode. So once again, it goes to the full mode. I think it's 4x scale, but I like this full screen integer mode. So here we go. Let's play some Kirby. Well, that went well. So here's the CRT mode, and then we can switch to the sharp pixels. Well, there's a pretty good contrast. Once again, it makes it a bit darker, which I'm not big fan of, so maybe I would need to adjust the brightness on my display. So let's switch for another Kirby game. Kirby's Adventure 2. So it works also when playing on the device, and actually with the integer plus scaling, this is actually pretty good. So previously, if you are playing but just a normal mode, well, it's not cropped at all. It displays the whole screen in Super Game Boy mode, and the borders are not that interesting. But if you go to the Trinitron mode, you can actually make it the full screen now. Let's see if for the normal mode you can have size. So you can choose between fit, integer, and integer plus. Oh, this is pretty cool. So this is a new functionality that you can make it full screen even on the normal mode. So you can crop the borders away, which are not very useful. And then the Trinitron mode, I think it looks good, but on this pocket screen, the difference is such a small one. I guess I would still prefer the Trinitron mode, even though the difference is not that big. Here we are at the full screen direct capture with the CRT mode, and here's the normal mode. The pixels are slightly different shaped here on the CRT mode, at least on Super Game Boy. Once again, I like this. It looks pretty good, but it's very like what you prefer. Kirby games are very well supported on the Super Game Boy, and it's pretty cool that you can use the real cartridge. But hey, let's try one more game. Okay, so here we are in the game with the CRT mode. Looks pretty nice. Here's the normal mode. Let's have a lap in both modes. And then switching to the CRT mode. Works pretty well. Okay, one more thing I want to show you. So there was a support for new custom palettes for the Game Boy mode, but the update didn't ship with any of new palettes. But I found this Reddit post which has a download file here, and apparently even a simple palette editor. From there you can download this huge collection of palettes. So here we are at Kirby's Dreamland again, and we are using the black and white default palette. Let's see if we can switch the palettes. So let's go to settings, pocket, systems, GB, video, color palettes. Now we should have, if we select custom, we should have load custom, and there's a ton of these here. Let's just try some randomly. So what about blue? So it turns it into blue. Let's see, other one. So Super Game Boy. So this looks like the Super Game Boy palette. I like this a lot. The brown is pretty good for general use, but let's see if we could find something that suits Kirby. So here's Magic Eggplant. I think this is pretty suitable for Kirby. Here's one of the Game Boy palettes, and this actually has different colors for the backgrounds and the sprites, which is pretty cool. So as you can see, Kirby and the animal friend there are different colors than the background. So what's cool is someone had created limited edition pocket palettes. So let's see what the glow-in-the-dark palette would look like. And it's pretty green. Let's see it on the actual device. As you can see, it suits my glow-in-the-dark edition very well. I think this is pretty fun that you can get. So here's something called Kimchi Wario, which I think is pretty cool. These are from collection called Super Game Boy 2 Vaporwave Edition, and I think these are pretty fun. The palettes also work with the pixel perfect mode if that's your thing. So if you want the brighter and sharper pixels, well, you can still go with the different palettes, and I think these are a lot of fun. So I'm playing these with an original cartridge. The official openFPGA cores don't support these yet, and I'm sure they will be updated soon. Okay, there you have it, the 2.0 upgrade to Analogue Pocket. I get my glow-in-the-dark version's color here, and I think it was pretty nice upgrade. I guess the upgrade will get better as the different openFPGA cores will get upgraded, but for now you can do the JSON hacks or see if your tools that you're using can do it for you. And since it's a free update, I think you should definitely look into it. The biggest upgrade for now is the CRT filters for all of your consoles and arcade games, which you get for free without any modifications. But if you are willing to go to the JSON hacking, then you can get the upgrades for the handheld cores as well. And I'm sure they will be updated. If you enjoyed this quick look, let me know in the comments. This one I did without any scripting. Do you prefer the more scripted videos I usually do, or do you prefer these more freeform ones? Let me know in the comments. And if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, well, hit the subscribe button right now so you can see the next video. And of course, like this video. Well, without further ado, see you next time.